Hello, you fine ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing today? We are going over yet another loadout for Star Wars Battlefront. This time, the Shocktrooper loadout. No, really, it's quite shocking. Why? That wasn't even funny. Okay, so let's get into it. The Shocktrooper is an Imperial force using a range of energy shields. Nope, that's not right. Energy-based abilities is the correct term, to combat the opposing team, taking on infantry, turrets, and even vehicles. So let's get into the star cards that this loadout uses. The Shocktrooper uses, big surprise here, the shock grenade. This, of course, is very useful when taking on infantry, especially in close quarters, as it will stun any targets close to it, allowing you to take them out more easily. Now, something I'm not a big fan of with this grenade is that somehow it always finds a way to bounce back at me and shock me just when I need it the least. So I don't understand it, but it happens a lot. Maybe I'm just throwing it wrong. No idea, but it always bounces back and hits me, which isn't fantastic, but you know, I make do with it. It's fine. Now, the other star card, of course, is the Ion Torpedo, which is great for taking out aerial vehicles and ground vehicles and even like turrets and turbo lasers like there. Great clip of me taking out. Actually, that was with the disruptor. Never mind, we'll get to that later. How I got that disruptor, we will soon find out. Right? Pretty exciting. Oh, just got a squad shield too. Same. Let's just get into it right now. The trait we're using is the Bounty Hunter trait, which will, of course, reward us with random power-ups if we get a kill on the battlefield. Now, the reason we're using the Bounty Hunter trait and not something like the Berserker trait is because this loadout overall really caters more to larger game modes on larger maps. And as I've said many times before, I don't think the Berserker is necessarily too great on the larger maps, although it can still be used to great extent on these larger maps. It is a little harder to use, I think. So that's why we're going with a different trait, which is the Bounty Hunter trait, because those random power-ups can actually come in very handy if you're pushing up a map, say, or taking an objective. Those random power-ups can be really useful. So that's why we're using the Bounty Hunter trait. Now, back to the Ion Torpedo. We had a little break there, I'm sorry, not too professional, but back to the Ion Torpedo. It is great for taking out aerial vehicles, I found, especially on maps like this, because usually when you're a ground troop, it's kind of hard to fight the aerial vehicles, and they can definitely take you on quite easily when they're up there. So having this ability to combat them is really useful. And the Ion Torpedo actually does quite a bit of damage to them. I think it takes out half their health, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's for most of the aerial vehicles in the game. So that's honestly pretty good. Just hit them with 2 of those, and they are toast. So that's pretty great. Also, it's really good for taking out turrets and, of course, lasers and turbo lasers. I'm not sure, but it is really good for taking out those power-ups too. So yeah, it's honestly, no one really uses it, I don't think, but it can be pretty good if you use it on the right maps. Now, for the charge card, we are using the Ion Shot. Of course, this is just kind of another shock energy-based ability. It's not too amazing. I don't use it too often, but if someone does pop like a protective shield, or they go behind like a squad shield, or even go into a vehicle or anything, the Ion Shot is actually pretty good at taking those out. It can take out the turbo lasers on this map very well. It really takes them out quickly. And of course, a bubble shield it can take out pretty quickly, and air vehicles and, you know, ground vehicles as well. So overall, it's just a good ability to have on one of those larger maps with vehicles and a bunch of infantry turrets and whatnot. It's good for taking those out. That's what I'm trying to get to. I know it's taking a while to say it, but that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, now on to how this loadout is overall. Well, for the most part, it's actually pretty good, although it definitely lacks versatility. You can't really go into any game mode and any map and do really well with this loadout. You really need to play to the maps that cater towards it, which I think are the larger maps with the larger game modes, objective-based game modes, and you should kind of stick to closer quarters areas, I guess. Don't just stay out, because you do have that shock grenade, which is really useful in close quarters. So I would stick to the covered areas, and of course the E-11, which is the blaster we are using, is very versatile, and that's why we're using it in this loadout, because it can handle these larger ranged maps and also the close quarters aspect of them as well. So it's a really, really good blaster to have when playing these larger game modes, and I think it goes pretty well with this loadout, as it can handle long range for sure, medium range, and close range, which are all kind of aspects of this loadout. So that is all for today. That has been the Shocktrooper loadout. Go ahead, use it if you wish to, or you can make changes to it. I don't know. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, I am glad. If you wish to subscribe, feel more than welcome to. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.